conversation. And I want to thank each of you for joining us tonight. Whether you're here in the audience or maybe you're watching us on a replay, we appreciate your joining us because each week we bring some of today's top speakers in the field of spirituality, conscious expansion, mysticism, cosmic awareness, and health and healing. So if you're not already on our mailing list, please sign up at thegalacticalliance.org or on the consciousawakeningnetwork.org. Now, on the Galactic Alliance, you're going to be able to find all of our replays as well as on the Conscious Awakening YouTube channel. So please share all of these presentations with your friends. And if you go to YouTube, be sure to subscribe and like. So tonight, before I introduce my co-host for the month, Kaliana, I want to just say hello to Illumina and thank her for being our speaker tonight. So I want to share again a little bit about Kaliana with you because she is an international facilitator, an author, an author, a singer, songwriter, and a teacher of vibrational healing. Since 1985, she has traveled the world teaching and singing as a divine mother, angelic and Christ plane emissary, facilitating workshops, programs, and private sessions to bring through blessings from the angelic and the Christ planes of love and light. In co-creation with the family of light, she has co-created a comprehensive body of work on vibrational healing, codes, and books on flowers and crystal essences, DNA repatterning of the chakras and the endocrine system, the Magdalene and Jeshua codes, and the light of Christ consciousness and sacred songs to activate the chakras for personal and planetary healing. In the weaving of her life as a mother, a grandmother, and a brand new grandmother as of yesterday, and lover, she has gained and teaches practical earth wisdom. As a divine mother emissary, she brings forth the blessing of the divine mothers, the Christ heart of love, compassion, and the Magdalene flame to support others to remember and to embrace their own divinity and to experience how loved they are and the precious gifts that they bring to earth. So as my co-host this month, I have been very honored to have her here with me, and I'd like to go ahead and bring her up now. Kaliana, thank you so much for being here with me this month and bringing all these phenomenal speakers. I really appreciate that.
Thanks, Sheila, and thanks again for the honor of being asked to be your co-host. And it's been an honor to introduce all of you to Australian speakers, because we have some amazing teachers in Australia that you may not have heard of. So Illumina is the third one that we're introducing, and Illumina is a self-mastery teacher and mother of two who has been on the tantric path for 35 years. Due to decades of total dedication to evolving her consciousness through relationships, intimacy, and sexuality, Illumina holds understandings of all forms of relationship, from the most intimate to our relationship with our world. Her work has evolved from lived experiences that has developed embodied presence. She has explored the liberation of men and women from attachment to sex and love, and she has offered workshops and retreats on liberating men and women to become radiant, intimacy, sovereign, loving relationships, and co-taught the one-year self-mastery school of Tantra. The foundational teachings in Illumina's work is that successful relationships and cultivating peace and presence is an inside job, and I totally agree. And having known Illumina for many, many years, I vouch for her integrity and the depths of her teaching. And here's Illumina.
Thank you so much, Kaliana and Sheila. And welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. I would like to share something with you today about, well, from the wisdom of my own journey, because I come from a generation that was not exactly a free in its expression of love and relationship. And I think we all know that we're in a time where nothing is really absolutely guaranteed in terms of what may be required from us to actually stretch and grow and realize more of our potential as souls, yet also reclaim the greater spirit. So I work in the solar and lunar gateways, or through those, which sit behind the shoulders left and right and feed into the higher heart. And the more of this type of work that we do actually creates these bridges of light to connect. And the sessions that I do are called Tantric Heart Sessions. So all my work is based on opening up those pathways and that big, bright light through the heart and through all of the upper body. Yet, it is also very important to go down into the lower chakras in order to ground our presence on the earth. That was something that I did avoid for my first few years of self-mastery training and teaching, until I got an ovarian tumor in my right ovary. And that was 4 inches by 2 inches. So it was a very large tumor, and it came very suddenly. And the topics that were up in my life at the time were just couldn't be like pushed down anymore. There were issues around pornography. There was something that I'd been sitting on throughout my life and feeling quite insecure in a very quiet way in my relationships. There was this judgment of the masculine and this resentment towards the masculine that it only really emerged strongly when I got this tumor. So they came hand in hand. And because I used everything in my life to inform me of the possibility, the opportunity to reclaim more presence, to turn fear and non-serving patterns into more presence, I had this awareness that when I gave up something that was a strong emotion, a strong belief, a strong attachment, a big fear, then presence would enter more deeply into my body, into my cells, into my field, and inevitably there was this wonderful gift. So after being diagnosed with this tumor, I was connected with a gynecologist who I knew did some inner work. And I asked for him to support me to heal this myself. And he approved of that and suggested we have 3 monthly ultrasounds. So nutritively, so I had the nutrition that I knew I needed. I 100% committed to this healing. I dived into the tumor, loving it, knowing that my body made it, knowing that it was a gift. I also faced the fact that it could potentially kill me. And my family and friends said, maybe it's time you do go the medical path. And I said, no, I have to do it this way. So I did an investigation into this kind of entity inside of me, and it was full of grief and resentment. And there was a vision that I had from ancient times, and I saw myself as this very tall, very handsome man with steely blue eyes and a large erection. He was like 8 feet tall, and he had this a little to the side of him, he had some normal human sex slaves that were chained together. And I used the power of my love. I had Mother Mary with me. I just beamed him with all of this radiant and compassionate love, like I did with any inner healing that I needed to do up until that point. And he did not even respond in any way whatsoever to that. Apparently he knew better. And then the next plan was to actually start to look at the consciousness and his beliefs. Now, I do have an ability to do that because I did it so much that that gift opened, and I can read the unconscious and subconscious energies. And I began to disassemble him, dissolve him by breaking the contracts as beliefs in a formal way until he completely dissolved. And all of that happened specifically in one session. And in short, after 3 months of having this tumor, it shrunk to about 2/3. And then the next ultrasound at 6 months, it was completely gone. So with my, I forget some of the vitamins. I know I did apricot kernels and vitamin A and vitamin E, and all of this inner work. And then I was teaching. Then I started holding groups for men because I finally felt like I could trust them. So that's really an example of how it can be when I'm just going to close my eyes because I feel like I can connect to a beautiful deep stream there of what presence wants to share with you. So one of the important things that I received to tell you was that you are a divine spark and you are whole. Enormous. And this work is all about coming from our wholeness, even though we may feel broken, even though we may feel despair and distraught about various things in our life, our relationships with our children, whatever it may be, that we are whole. And I'm not saying deny all of the feelings and fears that you may have, but recognize that you are whole first and that who you're looking at is whole. And we are here as souls to reclaim parts of our spirit back into our core, into our hearts. The more we decide to do that, the more comfortable we become in our body and in our skin. As we allow ourselves to dream about what we can be, about this joy and light heart that we would love to be experiencing if we don't already, we need to give up what it is that isn't creating that for us. And this just needs to be done a little bit at a time. Just recognizing what makes you feel small, what makes you feel insignificant, what makes you feel unhappy. And when you come from your wholeness and the recognition that within you is a superpower, and there really is a superpower inside of every one of us, it's in every quark of the field around us, it is on our breath. So with this superpower, that is what we use to transform and to lure all of these parts of our spirit and our consciousness and energy back into the heart. Because if we're not aligned with that idea, with that knowing that there is this superpower inside of us, we know it because it makes our bodies function. It literally created our cells to become organs and those to become systems that are in divine union with one another inside of our body. We are a miraculous technology. So what part of us could possibly be believing that we are anything less than that? And when we know this, when we acknowledge it, when we choose to remember that in every given moment, and this depends on how passionate you are about change and embodying more of your higher potential. We're all unique. We are all special. There is no one that is not. There are no two people the same. There are no two frequencies the same. And any little thing that we do, any way we choose to give, is a blessing. Just smiling at a stranger, just looking and being available to acknowledge someone you may pass in the street. That alone is a huge gift. To see and be seen. Especially in today's world. So a lot of people looking down, just describing at something else and distracting, but we are here. So this can be an incredibly beautiful process and very, very rewarding. So the alchemy of balance is about divine union. It is about meeting the undeveloped emotional nature, which is referred to the lower or as the lower feminine consciousness in all of us. And helping that to grow up. It responds to love and compassion. We have to start somewhere. And the truth is, we don't all feel compassion. Because compassion is usually a developed quality, something that we develop as we reclaim more and more of our feminine consciousness. And that is usually where I begin with my work. Because when we can become more receptive to love, more receptive to the truth of our wholeness, more receptive to the idea that it's okay that we're not perfect and we don't have it all together. Because when we sit in the superconscious and our wholeness, we do not judge any part of us or any part of another. Usually, if we feel judged, it is because we are judging or we tend to judge. And that gives our universe permission to judge us because it's informing us of what's inside. And that brings me to universal law, because the universal law has been so deeply instrumental in my journey of transformation, especially for the first 10 years of self-mastery. It was the universal law of reflection. And without rejecting the mirror on the inner, we can just call it in before us with the intention of looking into that consciousness, feeling at least. I know when I began, I just asked the question, what might they be feeling or believing in order to be judgmental or unresponsive or lack warmth towards me? And just asking that question, making the inquiry, revealed some things. So how I began was simply looking at the mirror with my eyes closed and with a connection to the superconscious, just with intention, stilling. And then calling that mirror in and calling in every part of my feminine and masculine spirit. And firstly, I would address how I felt, the rejection I felt. Just a little contraction of my energy. That's how I knew it. Sometimes it was so subtle, but I was so interested in the opportunity to transform. And then I would call the mirror in. And it began with their face. But put the question internally to that part and asked. And inevitably, I saw the wound of that person who had reflected that to me. And it helped me to become bigger and to be more forgiving of people who were not capable of meeting me with love. And of the parts of me that weren't meeting myself with love. So we know that we have this feeling nature, which we term the feminine, and that goes through the lunar gateway. And we have this doing nature, which is active. And will often, when we have the wound here, this will be the distraction from that wound. This will be the way that we cope in life. It's the persona we built when we were hurt in order to continue functioning. Very often these began in our childhood. And we may have had any range of experiences. And it's not for a parent to assume whether this is okay, this won't hurt them, or they'll just have to, live with that, or to believe that the child is, they just have to deal with it. And very often the way the child deals with it is they close down a little bit. They lose a bit of trust. And nobody really wants to know about the pain. So they find a way to kind of bury it, forget about it. And they go and do some things. And they may get more attention in a different way. And so we carry these into our adult relationships because they're formative patterns when we are children. Well, this is how it was with my mum. Or this is how it was with my dad. And without a doubt, we are going to be having relationships and friendships that mirror those little areas of disempowerment. And sometimes they're very big. So everything can be met in a way that hasn't been met up until now. But it is an inside job. It has to happen from the inside. Now, sometimes we build the idea and the dream that we want to have a certain kind of partner. And we might manifest that fairy tale like relationship that may feel comfortable, but there may be compromise. There may be codependence, a mutual agreement where you each choose to give things up and parts of you in order for that union to continue. We say, oh, that's okay. That's enough. In relation to the intimacy, it's might be limited. It could be amazing, but it may be limited, and we may just say, well, that's okay. That's just how it is. But we have the ability to realize God within us and God within our lovemaking. And I'm sure we would all agree that that would be quite an amazing and beautiful thing to experience. Everyone has choice as to how far they want to go in their initiations of divine union. And it's very tempting to sort of, put a cap on that, because when you go into the seventh initiation, it's really putting God first, and everything else is secondary. And we're doing that more or less all the way through, but there's a point where you can meet and love and stay on a plateau with another, or you can continue to grow together by letting go and coming in and trusting. Because if you go that far, you're going to have some kind of mission around supporting humanity and being in service to humanity in perhaps a larger way. Because inside of you, you will have given up so much and received so much more in return that you will want to help others experience that too. Those who want to, those who are ready to embody the next level of their presence. So one of the things that I do, as I mentioned, was I read the masculine and feminine pathways. Very often there is an age in this lifetime where something happened, and we make this contract with ourselves, which is, it could be something like to never trust another with my fully open heart. And that might be because mother or father seemed to betray that trust in some way, probably quite innocently. And that age usually comes to me, whatever it is that is in the in divine order for right now. I'm quite sure that it's the presence of the other person that actually puts that forward so that I can see and perceive it. And there's that. I wanted to offer the group an opportunity to, or ask if you feel pulsed about something that may be, that may have been an issue for a long time, potentially that you keep manifesting this particular thing. And we can look into that. And as we do this, there's usually a little teaching, because universal law isn't the only, reflection, I should say, isn't the only amazing law. There are many laws. The law of resonance is very relevant. All of them are relevant, obviously, because they keep the whole universe in balance. I did want to say, though, that when the masculine and feminine, when this feminine part comes into a healed and whole place, when she returns to the heart, the masculine also is usually addressed, and they together alchemize within our core, and they create the alchemy of empowerment inside. And that means that we tend to, and it grows with every pair of masculine and feminine we bring into union within us, and that grounds more and more presence through the core and brings the illumination through. And that is literally what creates us to be able to speak from the heart without a thought. It creates us to receive our guidance or the pulse towards the right thing for us more readily. There are so many benefits to it that, you know, it's like it would be the greatest gift to give ourselves, to know who we are. Nobody can tell us who we are. We're not like anyone else. That's the truth. We are ourselves. Yet we live in a world that is trying to have us uniformly, you know, behave in certain ways and believe certain things and conform in certain ways. And it's like, we're all unique. And that is informed from within. So the more we develop this, the more we can guide ourselves in healthy ways in our lives. And it's so easy to have the courage to make the right decisions for ourselves and really know what our truth is. So back to what I'm offering, I'm happy for people to ask any questions you may wish to ask about this work. And also, if you feel you'd like to ask something in relation to an issue inside, we can look at how that works as well. So I'll open that up for everyone now, if that's okay, Sheila and Kalyana.
Yes, we have Barbara. Hey, Barbara, welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
You were talking about, you know, did we notice a pattern? And I actually love what you said about compassion, that we grow into it. We grow more compassionate. That's what I've noticed in myself. And I thought, wow, is that ever cool? Like losing the judgment when helping or counseling someone and just being there with them. But my question is about this. I have times, which is usually my normal now, where I'm strong, confident in my gifts. And yet I lose that for an hour, a minute, a week. And, you know, and then I'm kind of build myself up again and connecting with my guides. But it's like, I've been doing this work for 25 years and I'm thinking, geez, when can I be strong 24/7? Or is that out of reach for a human? Because it discourages me that I can still feel less than and the other part of me knows how powerful I am, you know, how powerful we all are. But I lose that confidence every now and then.
Yeah.
So what's that about? Can you help me with that?
Well, immediately I received age 7 when you shared that. I'm just going to have a little look at that, of what the core. Now, what I tell you may be something that you went, oh, I've been working on that, but it's like, or I've worked that, or I've sorted that out. I just want you to know that you haven't fully got there, if that is the case. So that's just a little warning.
Yeah.
And I'll just see what that is. I'll just see what happened
Mhm.
at age 7, what was activated. So the beliefs that get activated very often in our life and in our childhood usually come through the masculine and feminine pathways. So they're connected to another part of our spirit that's lined up to come into the body from other timelines. So that's the good thing. And that's why we do manifest, specific situations. When we're born, we come into a family. These are the circumstances. This is where it was. These are the siblings. And we experience some trauma. And all these parts of our spirit are lined up to come through once we really meet that trauma with the love that it needs and address those beliefs. So I shall be quiet and just have a look inside and see. And I just want you to just sit in the wholeness of your heart and the beauty of that, because there is your multidimensional portal and our access point, everyone's access point to our multidimensional spirit. So the first thing I receive is your little 7-year-old self in a state of expectation of reprimand. It's like nothing was good enough that she presented. You're relating with that?
Yes. Yeah.
It's just one part. And obviously it's a part that was very affected by this sense of, making an offering or doing something that you might have been asked to do, and that was dismissed or not good enough.
Yeah. That would be my perfectionist mother, and I am not a perfectionist. So it's like, do the dishes, but it wasn't good enough. You forgot this, you forgot to do that, which was true. I did, but yeah, feeling that not good enough. Yeah.
Okay.
Very subtly, but yeah, it's now that you're mentioning it. Yeah.
Can we break this contract?
Yes, please.
Okay. So anyone here who has had the experience of rejection and felt like you haven't done things good enough, or you judge yourself for not doing things so-called good enough, and feel small due to this, I just want to invite you on the inner to actually break this contract as well. So I want you to close your eyes and breathe into your heart and be there with your little 7-year-old self. And I want you to be this loving mother presence. See her wholeness first. Perceive her wholeness. And you are the one who is here for her. Who is now giving her the love unconditionally that she yearned for, and that she has yearned for her whole life up until now. Really pouring that love and compassion into her and recognizing her as a part of you that is whole. You are embodying now the safe place, which is her home, your heart. You are the safe place that will celebrate her, that will dance with her, that will laugh with her, that will let her make a mess and do whatever she wants and still love her 100%. Just giving her complete permission. Now speak these words with me out loud. By divine decree.
By divine
By
decree.
decree.
In the name of my enlightened presence.
In
Name of
the name of my
my
And through the universal laws.
and through the universal laws
and through
Of karma, creation, and oneness.
of
karma, creation, and oneness.
Love, liberty, divinity.
Love, divinity,
Liberty.
liberty,
love, divinity, liberty, truth,
Grace, and forgiveness.
truth,
Truth, grace, and forgiveness.
truth of
and
grace and forgiveness.
I now break and nullify.
I now break,
I now break and nullify
nullify
all vows, contracts, and agreements.
all vows, contracts, and agreements
and
I
agreement
or any part of me
or any part of me
may have made over all time, space, and dimensions.
for all time, space,
And dimensions.
and dimensions.
To believe that
To believe that
those I love the most
those I love the most
make me feel small.
made me feel small.
And the belief that
And the belief that
I will never be good enough
I will never be good enough
to please them.
to please them.
I want you to take a big breath. And I want you to give this to Holy Spirit. Know that the superconscious, the superintelligence is on your breath. Breathe and surrender all parts of your psyche, known and unknown now, to the source, to the superconscious, knowing this no longer serves you and you are fully ready, 100% ready to bring this part of you into wholeness and the home of your heart. We ask that all implants, programs, anomalies be lifted from every dimension of your being now. Breathing in the truth of your wholeness now, Barbara. Inviting that fully back into your source. Returning all parts of your feminine spirit that have felt small and insignificant in highest divine order for your being.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, for the sake of demonstrating the mirror, we're going to have a look at the mirror. That's a very important part of the process. So just closing your eyes and breathe into your heart again. And now this is going into your solar gateway. And this part of your masculine has this dismissive characteristic. The first thing he's showing me, it's like, oh, that doesn't matter. He will quite briskly overlook something. And he's happy doing. It's like he's humming along and he goes, this makes me happy, that makes me happy. I'm going to do what makes me happy. And what gives me a little bit of fulfillment. And sometimes we underestimate just how we have, up until this point, distracted ourselves out of our softness, out of the tenderness of our feminine nature in some parts. So we're going to now have a little bit more of a look at him, and we're going to break a contract there. Sometimes there are more than one contract. Today we're just doing one for sake of this demonstration. This part of your masculine feels important in terms of his sense of self. And that is what has created him to assume a little bit of superiority over that feminine part. And sometimes that can show up in your life and in your relationships with others. Sometimes that can be reflected. So let's now break this contract to help this part of you come back into the source. Closing your eyes, and just you open your mic, Barbara, with the breaking of this agreement. It'll be clearer for everyone then. They can break it in their own space.
Okay.
By divine decree.
By divine decree.
In the name of my enlightened presence.
In the name of my
enlightened presence.
Enlightened presence.
And through the universal laws.
And through the universal laws.
Of karma, creation, and oneness.
Of karma, creation, and oneness.
Love, liberty, divinity.
Love, liberty, divinity.
Truth, grace, and forgiveness.
Truth, grace, and forgiveness.
Taking a big breath. It's important to breathe during this contract breaking process. Breathing more and more of the source. I now break and nullify.
I now break and nullify.
All vows, contracts, and agreements.
All vows, contracts, and agreements.
I or any part of me may have made.
I or any part of me have made.
Over all time, space, and dimensions.
Over all time, space, and dimensions.
Take a breath. To close my heart to my feminine.
To close my heart to my feminine.
And the feminine in others.
and the feminine in others.
Due to believing that
Due to believing that
I don't know how to fix them.
I don't know how to fix them.
Take a big breath. I want you to give up all charge on that. It may feel subtle, but those places, those people you meet that you feel like you cannot fix, that it's like, oh, this is too much for me. This is too big. This is whatever that might be. It may not be much of you, but it is still present. It might be with your loved ones. It might be that's where these things show up with the blood family. And he says, I'll just go out and do good in the world. So I want you to speak these words and to believe that.
And to believe that
Going out and doing good in the world
going out and doing good in the world
is good enough.
is good enough.
And that it's not my responsibility
And it's not my responsibility
to fix all of my family relationships,
to fix all of my family relationships
because they don't understand me.
because they don't understand me.
Take a big breath now. Giving this to Holy Spirit now, I want you to sit inside with all of the grief that it has caused you to be this rainbow sheep.
Mm.
All of the sadness, all of those feelings of not being understood or appreciated or seen for the growing and the changing you have done. And they have reflected the part of you that was left behind, that was judging your masculine as the sad and unhappy feminine, because she was not being attended to.
Mm.
So please, just sit deeply with that. On the inside, Barbara, you could see the two of them facing each other in the safety of the heart. See your girl in her wholeness, and this masculine part of your spirit in his wholeness, his softness, and his compassion for her. And just let them have a meeting in your heart.
Thank you.
You?
Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you, Sheila, for having her as a guest. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely.
Such a blessing. Thank you.
And let's
So
see. Heather had her hand up, or Heidi. I think it was Heidi, actually. Heidi, did you have your hand up? Maybe not.
I did, but I lowered it because I didn't know if we had enough time.
Okay.
we could do one more.
Okay.
My question is, the reoccurring theme for me is procrastination. And although I have worked on that aspect of myself in the past, it still seemed to be creeping up. So maybe it's the masculine side of me that's not behaving like he should.
Okay, sorry, I was looking for your photo. I had to go along the
Yes.
top there until I found you. So please repeat that if you don't mind.
I said procrastination has been the running theme for me. And although I've worked on that aspect of myself, it seems to still be surfacing. And if that had to do anything with my masculine.
Thank you. I receive a 6-year-old part of your soul stepping forward. Your spirit. And she was told to wait. Made to wait. And in that, there's a whole confusion of energies, like a sense of anxiety and switching off and daydreaming, and then the anxiety would come back in, and it's like a dance between those two feelings. Are you resonating with this? Yeah, and it feels really uncomfortable sometimes. So I want you to just imagine your 6-year-old self. This beautiful little girl, completely innocent and gorgeous and curious and all of those normal things that children are. I want you to see her wholeness. I want you to let her know that everything's okay now. That her mama's here and you are her mama. It is this beautiful, loving, feminine presence within you, Heidi. That is her mama. And you are so happy to engage with her, to play with her, to dance with her, to take her on adventures and let her lead the way. Just love her unconditionally. See her in her purity and innocence, that she truly is. And let her know that it's not her fault. And you're sorry she had to wait so much and that she felt so unimportant, so much less important than other things at the time with your mom, I'm guessing. One of your parents or both. I want you to breathe into your heart now. And we're going to break a contract here that was meant to be activated in your childhood to bring home more of your feminine spirit. Just repeat these words with me. By divine decree. Could you turn on your mic for me, Heidi? Thank you, darling.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah.
By divine decree,
In the name of my enlightened presence
in the name of my enlightened presence,
and through the universal laws
and through the universal laws
of karma, creation, and oneness,
of karma, creation, and oneness,
love, liberty, divinity,
love, liberty, divinity,
truth, grace, and forgiveness.
truth, grace, and forgiveness.
Take a breath. I now break and nullify
I now break and nullify
all vows, contracts, and agreements
all vows, contracts, and agreements
I or any part of me may have made
I or any part of me may have made
over all time, space, and dimensions
over all time, space, and dimension,
to believe that
to believe that
I will always be made to wait.
Could you repeat that?
I will always be made to wait.
I will always be made to wait,
And that I'm not important enough
and that I'm not important enough
to attract the attention and presence
to attract the attention and presence
and love
and love
from those I love
from
value.
those I love
and value.
and value,
And that I will always be invisible.
and that I will always be invisible.
Take a big breath now. I want you to give this over to Holy Spirit. I want you to know that Spirit is on your breath. The superconscious is on your breath, inside of you, bathing every part of you that has felt the feelings of despair, anxiety, insignificance, sorrow, left out, and that has believed this story up until now in your life and held this over you. I want you to know it no longer serves you to take this story forwards now. I want you to see it as a web that is now dissolving. And you are rising out of it. I call for all implants, programs, and anomalies in relation to this matter, this topic, to be lifted from every dimension of your being now, Heidi. And anyone else who resonates with this, just continue to breathe. Bring this little girl into your heart fully. The beauty of her laughter and her love, her softness, her purity, her curiosity, all of her wonderful qualities. They have a home in your heart and an opportunity to express through you now. So while you continue to breathe this, I'm just going to have a little look in your masculine and see what the mirror is. So this masculine part of your spirit, it's also been carried through from the genetic line. Knows that he holds a power. And the truth is that he feels quite unworthy, but he holds a power over the feminine up until this point. And sometimes he's used that power to make her feel small. It's like, what he's showing me is that he's got a very, very low-key energy in a sense. And it feels like even a little cruel. It's like, I want you to listen with your heart, by the way. And sometimes he'd see a need and he'd go, yeah, no. He would just go, no. And it's because he's felt so unworthy himself. So unworthy and so wounded that he would refuse to give love or anything to your feminine part. He would just withhold. You know, he could. He knew how much she needed it. And he'd look at her and he'd go, no, I'm not giving to that. And obviously that has contributed a lot to her feelings of unworthiness, right?
It resonates.
Yeah. And he doesn't feel that he's accomplished anything, but he has this power over her. Right? Okay. So we're going to break this contract now.
Okay.
And I want you to hold compassion for him. I want you, as the loving presence here, to see his wholeness and understand that he has come from deep pain and that he has carried this pain and it has expressed in cruelty because he received that himself and he learned that. It was modeled to him. So taking a big breath now. Seeing his wholeness, perceiving the innocence and purity of his heart. And that is the truth. It was just conditioned out of him at the time. And now it is his time to come into presence. Now it is his moment. By divine decree.
By divine decree.
In the name of my enlightened presence.
In the name of my mighty I am presence.
And through the universal laws.
And through the universal laws.
Of karma, creation, and oneness.
Of karma, creation, and oneness.
Love, liberty, divinity.
Love, liberty, divinity.
Truth, grace, and forgiveness.
Truth, grace, and forgiveness.
I now break and nullify.
I now break
and nullify.
And nullify.
All vows, contracts, and agreements.
All vows, contracts, and agreements.
Take a breath. I or any part of me may have made
I or any part of me may have made
over all time, space, and dimensions.
over all time, space, and dimensions,
To close my heart to myself
to close my heart to myself
and my feminine nature
and my feminine nature
and my wisdom,
and my wisdom,
due to believing that I am worthless.
due to believing that I am worthless.
Take a breath. And the only power I have
And the only power I have
is to hurt those more sensitive than me.
is to hurt those more sensitive than me.
Take a big breath now, giving this to Holy Spirit. And again, knowing that that's what he was showing. That's how he was hurt. Calling for all implants, programs, and anomalies to be lifted from every dimension of your being, Heidi, and anyone else who has resonated with this. Just continue to breathe and giving thanks. I want you to take a few moments this evening, maybe in your own time, to be with your now happy little girl who realizes her wholeness, who's growing up beautifully, vibrantly, and your man who's softening by the second. And they are able to fall in love with each other. Thank you so much, Heidi.
Thank you. Thank you. That is so greatly appreciated. And I thought of that I've worked on unworthiness and couldn't understand why that aspect wasn't changed. That I kept feeling the same way, and how that's intertwined with the procrastination and all the other things that went along with it. So thank you so much.
That's what your presence offered me. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
have just 4 minutes before I've got to wrap up now. Thank you everyone so much for listening and receiving with us. And yeah, I wanted to say that my new website's being published like in the next, if not like right now, in the next 24 hours. It's illuminatechristos.com. I've been working on it for the last month in preparation for this. So thank you, Kaliana and Sheila.
Thank you so much for being here. Your work is absolutely amazing and beautiful, and you could just feel the vibration as you spoke kind of moving through. So thank you so much. And Kaliana, thank you so much for bringing this wonderful speaker to us. Thank you so much. And Illumina, I know you have to go, so we'll wrap up here in just 1 minute. But if people would like to get a hold of you, how would be the best way for them to reach you?
I'll put an email address in the chat.
Beautiful.
And
for those people who are watching on YouTube, or those people who are watching on any of our other platforms, or even listening on podcasting, could you spell out your email for those people?
Yes. So it's unified, UNIFIED, at illuminachristos.com. So it's ILLUMINA, Christos, CHRISTOS.com.
Beautiful. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Such a pleasure.
And Kaliana, do you have any words that you would like to share before we close this evening?
Thank you, Illumina. And I'm sure that everyone on the call, because we're all here for a reason, could relate. And so thank you for Barbara and Heidi for bringing up so Illumina could work with them and work with all of us and give us a gift. And I totally agree. It's the inner work. I've been in relationship with my beloved Rama for 35 years, and we continue to grow and evolve together. It's the only way, because we still mirror things to us, and the mirrors and the law of reflection is so important because it shows us the inner work we need to do around our own sacred union and inner marriage. So I totally concur with everything you've shared, Illumina, and thank you for all the work you've done over the years to be able to share this wisdom with all of us and to gift us. And thank you again, Sheila, for giving me the opportunity to co-host and bring to all of your awareness these beautiful Australian speakers.
Amazing.
Well, thank you, Illumina.
I'm so happy to have been with you all. Thank you, Kalyana.
And so for everyone here, thank you so much for being with us tonight. This coming Thursday is Thanksgiving, so we will not be having a Cosmic Conversations. And so wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, much love, and know that I'm grateful for each and every one of you. So until we are back together again, namaste and much love, everyone. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.